right. Hello, all you beautiful, wonderful, amazing tea people. As you can see, it's another beautiful day on the east coast of Taiwan. Just gorgeous. It's a beautiful fall day. Hopefully, there's a little bit of a breeze. Hopefully, it won't be too hot. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through this okay and not have to worry about it too much. But today, I'm just going to say quickly the teas that are actually, I got a list. There's so many of them this time. So I got a list. I'll tell you the list. The code is fall 24, and then we're gonna go into some red oolongs. Hey, Lao Shi, how's it going? We're gonna go into some fall oolongs, and we're gonna talk about these three different oolongs. These red oolongs. One is the Luye red oolong, which is the best red, like Luye red we've ever had. The Jade Red Oolong is here. I bought some. It's not here yet. It'll probably be here next week. And then these two are from the same garden. This is a Jinchuan cultivar, and this is a Qingqing cultivar. And so we're gonna put those together, try them all together, because I bought this, but this is much more of a classic red oolong taste, whereas these guys are a little bit different. And so I want to put them side by side and figure that out, because I didn't figure that out. Well, hello in California. I hope you're having a beautiful evening. And Mr. Noah, hope you're doing well there and enjoying your later in the evening, nighttime-y type of time. The Luye this year it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. It really is. It's great. Now you can see sometimes I'm not putting the tea into the tray because the tray has a hole in it right now. I've got to fix the hole. And so it actually drips out of the. Anyways, that's why I'm not doing it. Anyways, the code is fall, FALL 24. And if you go onto the site, you search for the collection that says something like, I think it's Pear Mountain, Alishan, Red and GABA, and more is the name of the collection. And all the teas are in that collection. And we got Alishan GABA, Alishan Red Oolong, Fall Pear Mountain, the East Wild Cultivar Oolong, sort of the green one. We got Sweet Asamaka, which is the old converter that I changed the name to Sweet Asamaka because it was bug bitten. It's pretty neat too. There's the Jasmine Green Oolong, and of course the Luye Red. So any questions about any of that stuff, throw it in the chat. But that's what's going on. As always, thank you so much to everybody who has bought tea so far. It's funny because, I put out the emails, and then I sort of, it's my bedtime when I put out the emails, and then orders start coming in, and I'm like, I'll do the orders. So I did a lot of orders last night around 11 o'clock at night, which is pretty funny when you really think about it. So if you ordered right after the email, your teas, right after this, your packages will be going out to the post office, because it is a beautiful Monday morning. Like I said, a beautiful Monday morning here on the east coast of Taiwan. And you can see behind me, it's gorgeous, just beautiful. Now, what are the teas that I got right here? Here are the teas, and I open this up, and I already smell it. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. Now, what we're going to talk about with these is the difference between cultivar, terroir, and basically maybe skill, expectation, the difference that happens when you have a tea area where everybody in that tea area has always done a certain type of tea a certain way. And then you have another area that does sort of the same tea in a different way. And that's what we're sort of looking at when we're looking at these teas. Now, these three teas are basically identical. Now, before I forget, somebody asked a very good question Uh, why do you call them red oolongs and not dark oolongs or light oolongs? Hey, how's it going? Uh, you call them these things, you call it red oolong, and that the easiest answer is a direct translation of the Chinese. That's the easiest answer. So all of these teas in Chinese are called Hong Oolong. Oh, somebody just bought a subscription. Thank you very much, Ms. K. Thank you very much. It's so strange when that happens. I mentioned this before, but you know, when they have little kids and they say, "What do you want to be when you grow?" I want to be an internet influencer. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I kind of am. Anyways, it's very strange, but thank you very much for the subscription. Your red oolong deep dive will be going out today, most likely. Depends where it is in the queue, but most likely it'll be today. And even now, I can see it in the difference between the tea here. But we'll talk about this now. What is a red oolong? Like I said, we call it red oolong in English. Somebody asked that question. Why do we call it red oolong in English? We call it red oolong in English simply because that's the direct translation of Chinese. So these are all called Hong Oolong, Hong red, Hong Cha, same Hong Cha, same red tea. But these are red oolongs. And when you're talking about red and you're talking about sort of the Chinese connotation of the word red when it comes to tea, we're talking about oxidization, right? You're talking about oxidization. And so it denotes a higher oxidization, right? So you've probably heard of Hong Shui Oolong or red water oolong. Now that's on the higher oxidization level as well. I think last time we covered that. It was the idea that Hong Shui Oolong and red oolong are not the same. And they're not the same because Hong Shui Oolong is usually less oxidized. And if it's bug bitten, they call it Gui Fei. If it's not bug bitten, they call it red oolong. Is basically the way it works, and it's an afterthought. So people will do a really good green oolong in the spring, a really good green oolong in the wintertime, but in the middle, they're usually lower elevations, so they can't pull off a green oolong with the lower elevations. So they do a red oolong or a red water oolong or a Gui Fei oolong. One of the oolongs, it's a higher oxidization. Remember, more oxidization, less chance of bitterness and astringency, but also more chance you're kind of going to make it flat and a dud. Which brings us to these three teas. Now, these two teas are from Luye. They're from a little bit of an elevated tea garden. They're from a unique terroir that you cannot get any other tea. It's just them. It's called the South Island Cross Highway. On the way up the South Island Cross Highway, there's this garden in the middle of nowhere. That's what this tea is, right? So this tea right here is that tea. Then over here, we have the Jade Mountain tea. So the Jade Mountain tea is from, I call him the tea polymath. This amazing man who's got this big old organic garden on Jade Mountain. And I've got to stop. I don't know how many of his teas I have right now, but I have a lot of his teas. And I have a lot of his teas because, he'll do interesting things that will not happen in high mountain areas. So for example, the high mountain Four Seasons, right? So he does a high mountain Four Seasons. I've never had a high mountain Four Seasons. And then you get a creaminess with the four. Anyway, he does yellow teas. He does the greenish oolongs, the black tea. He does everything. And he does a red oolong. And the red oolong he does is a really, really classic red oolong. Classic red oolong. Now, what does that mean, a classic red oolong? It means it's basically a black tea. And sometimes he calls it a red oolong, and I call it a red oolong. He's like, "Oh, you mean the black tea? Oh, yeah, red oolong, red oolong." He doesn't think it's a red. He doesn't think it's an oolong, right? So he's doing a black tea that's basically ball rolled. It's not quite as oxidized as a black tea, not quite. But he's like, it's so close. Who cares? So he has this connotation, especially the old timers, right? The older guys, the real sufus, the real amazing guys. They have this idea of red oolong as it's not red oolong, it's black tea in a ball, right? And fair enough, right? So Anyways, again, there's an F16, totally normal, totally normal. But that's what they think, right? And I've gotten into, I wouldn't call them arguments, right? I wouldn't call them like I've gotten into arguments when people say things like, uh, there's no caffeine in white tea, or green tea has less caffeine, or some other very obvious untruth. I do get into arguments with people who say that, but with the old timers who talk about red tea as a black tea, I never ever 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 get into an argument with them because they're right, kind of, right? The idea that you're calling this a red oolong, and again, the question was, why is it a red oolong? Direct translation of the Chinese. You could call it a dark oolong. You could call it on the site, I actually divide them into light oolongs and dark oolongs. So I throw the gabas in the dark oolong category. You can do that, right? You could call it something else, but now let's see if you can see it. Sort of. You can see this one is a deeper red. Let's see. You go like that, and then these two guys are less. Yes, you can see it. Okay, good. So both the stuff there, we can see it. Let's see. Do I still get the? Yep, I still get the that's YouTube still does the turned off the YouTube fireworks yet. But these two are more classically done, and this one. What I think happened with this one, this is the Luya that's on the site right now. This is it. I did not buy this one. I did buy this one. Oops. I think they realized what they had, and I think they went, holy crap, this has been bitten by bugs. We're going to do this a different way. And so this is a little bit redder because I think it's got a little bit more moisture left in the bag. It's got a little bit more moisture left in the tea. It's got a little bit more of, what's the best way to describe it? A little bit more oomph in the tea in general because they were worried about getting rid of the bug bites. Now, if you get rid of the bug bites, you can get rid of the bug bites in two different ways. One, you don't mun or humidize your tea, which means putting it into like a bag. There's different ways you can do it. You put it into a bag. You can do various different ways of keeping it wet for longer and oxidizing it / it's fermenting, right? But I don't want to start that argument. so you ferment it, and then you can do that, and that is the Eastern Beauty, Oriental Beauty tea making process. And on the East Coast here, oftentimes black tea as well. That's the secret of the honey fragrance black tea. And so you bring in this oolong processing. And so I think they realized this. This one, I don't think they did it. Now, what is the difference between these two? The only difference between these two, this is a Jinshren or the milk oolong cultivar. This one is the Qinshin cultivar, but they're the exact same garden, divided. I think 30% is Jinshren and 70% is the Qinshin in that particular garden. But that's the only difference between these two. But you can see the water is like, this is much redder, and I think that's why. This one over here is much more similar to this, and that is because it's just a clean, crisp, very classic red oolong, closer to a black tea. And I'm looking forward to drinking these. Now, this time of the year is usually the red oolong season, right? And I love red oolongs. And a lot of people do. Obviously, people watching this as well really love the red oolongs. And because they hit the sort of the Western taste point, just hit it like a bell. What's the Western taste point? Of course, better than black tea bags. That's the Western taste point, because we all, if you grew up in the West, you always had black tea bags. Black tea bags are everywhere. Blah. And so if you had something that hits some of that, but you can get some of those flavor profiles, then it usually hits sort of the Western taste profile. And this rich, classic, smooth. Now that I'm drinking it, I'll have to look closer at the leaves. I think this might be Jinshren cultivar. Might be Qinshin. Anyways, he does such a good job. It's hard to tell the cultivar with this, but I'm going to ask him again. No, that's Chin Chin. It's just really creamy. All right. So what's the difference between the milk oolong cultivar and the Jinchuan cultivar? In Chinese, you would say Nai Xiang, which which I translate as the positive aspects of milk fat. Right. So I translate Nai Xiang as the positive aspects of milk fat, but Nai basically means milk, and Xiang means uh, Nai means the milk spectrum, and then xiang means positive smell or positive taste. Like like the thing about, oh, that smells good, tastes good. That's how xiang, right? Like that. Hey, how's it going? And so, oh, how xiang, right? So that would mean positive taste and smell. And so that's how you're getting into the sort of the culture of it. So you could also say it's milk oolong because of the milk spectrum, right? And that's why you get milk oolong and the crappy milk oolongs. I was going to swear there. I felt like a swear coming out. But we're on Instagram, so I'm not going to swear. I'm not a big fan of the chemical milk oolongs. And so, so when I'm drinking this, there's a deep explanation. When I'm drinking this, there's a creaminess to it, which makes me think, oh, is that Jinshren or the milk oolong cultivar? Now, that tea, the one that's still lingering, the taste that's still lingering in my mouth, is classic. It's just classic red oolong made by a classically trained tea expert master, the tea polymath up on Jade Mountain. It's just classic in every way, from top to bottom, just what you would expect a red oolong to be. He pulls it off, and it's beautiful. These teas are different because these teas are from Luye Taidong. And Taidong is in the southeast of Taiwan, and it is the actual area that created red oolongs. And how did it create red oolongs? Well, it is a terrible, terrible, terrible region for growing and producing. Oh, sorry, my thumb came up. A terrible region for producing green oolong. It is terrible. It is terrible for green oolong. And why is it terrible for green oolong? It's too damn hot. It's too damn dry. And it doesn't have the right conditions for the fermentation slash oxidization of the greenish oolongs. For that, you need stable temperatures, higher elevation. This is low, quasi-deserty type of place where the temperature during the day is really high and the temperature at night is really low. And so there's that huge differential. Whereas up in the mountains, you can get that clear for 48 hours. You can basically have the same temperature, right? The breeze comes through and it keeps the temperature constant. At nighttime, it doesn't get too much colder, a little bit colder, but not that much. This doesn't happen. It just does not happen in the Luye area. Now, what does that mean? That means that they had to figure out something else because they couldn't do greenish oolongs. So they figured out red oolong. And red oolong needs really intense heat, but the humidity needs to be controlled, totally controlled. It's very, very, very important. So you want like a sort of a dryish area, dryish idea all around. So you want that dryish idea all around. And so that's what this is, right? So they do the best red oolongs in that area. And this, they're, and generally speaking, I would say this is still pretty good, but I know what's coming. So I'm like, oh, I don't want. So this one here is, it's not as good as this. It's not as good as this. And it's the Jinshren cultivar. And so up front, you're getting, for lack of a better word, a staleness, a chalkiness, a starchiness. And the beautiful nature of the Jinshren cultivar comes out in sort of the back end of the aftertaste. But the upfront Doesn't have the smoothness that I'd want. There's a little bit of a catch. Now, this is not a certified organic garden, but they don't use the pesticides or anything like that. They're basically never up there. It's all by itself. And so when they test it, it goes ND because they do use some chemical fertilizers on this garden. And ND means they test for like 277 different agrochemicals. And so it shows up non-detected, but it's not certified organic. And this is a clean, good, quite nice tea, but I never buy it. I try it every year, but I never, ever, ever, ever buy this tea. I just don't buy it. And the reason I don't buy it is because there is this tea. And this tea, especially this year, it's something special. It's something special. Now, what happened up on that mountain this year? A lot of things were delayed this year. A lot of things, right? So, like for example, the Fall Pear Mountain, but the Fall Pear Mountain was delayed. Things are slower, and I'm not quite sure whether things are slower because of the lunar calendar. I really got to study the lunar calendar more. They go off the lunar calendar for when they pick tea, plant tea, process tea. All of the things go off the lunar calendar here because that's what the farmers use. And I know the big holidays and I know the big things and I know, but I really should sit down and just have one of my buddies just be like, listen, this is the day we do this. This is the day we do this. And so, for example, in China, there's the Qingming holiday. So the pre-Qingming and the post-Qingming greenish teas, there's a huge difference in price. And so here, especially the fall time teas, sometimes the fall time teas are picked in mid to early August, and sometimes they're picked sort of late August. And this year they were all picked in late August because the lunar calendar was like that. Anyways, point is, my guess is the lunar holidays or the lunar calendar is pushing everything back for, especially for the springtime tea. So this was bug bitten. It got bitten by bugs. Now, for some reason, this didn't get too many bug bites. There's a few. But this tea is like, and you can see the sweet Asamaka that's on the site right now is the same thing. It was bitten by bugs, and they also produced it in a really going for that sweet taste on the Asamaka. It's an interesting one. It's a fun one, actually, because the background is so strong. The background of the Asamaka is just like, wow, there it is. But then the upfront is beautiful. Similar to this, actually. And so you're getting rich florals. You're also getting bug-bitten sweetness. And it's really, really nice. It's really, really nice. And I didn't change the name of it or do anything special. I just basically put on the site on the top. You've got the, I usually, when, the same tea year after year, I'll put a little note about this year's pick and how it went. And this year's pick for this tea got bug bitten, and there is an absolutely beautiful Oriental Eastern beauty type of thing going on in the front end of this tea that is so much fun. It's so much fun. Sorry, I was trying to appreciate it too much. And you've got a creaminess. You've got the Oriental beauty, sort of sweetness and thickness and floral, honey sweetness, creaminess in the Chin Chin cultivar. And all of it is wrapped up. All of it's put together, this beautiful bow. And it's awesome. I mean, this tea, the Luye Red Oolong, is the favorite of many. And I got to go get some more. The story behind this one actually is kind of fun, because in Hualien there's I'd known about this garden. I'd gone to visit them, and they said, oh, my an older guy, my sister is in Hualien, and so there is this older lady who runs a what's the best way to describe it? Basically, it's a lunchbox spot, and she does lunches. and she's got all this tea from this beautiful garden. So I go there, and like she'll load me up with candy for the kids that they can't eat, and, to their great consternation, and eggs, because they do really good eggs. But I go and visit her, so it's actually in Hawaiian, and this time, I only got a couple kilograms. But I got to go back, and I'm going to go get some more of this tea, just because it's so gorgeous, and we should have it on the site for as long as we can, because it's just the best pick of this tea for a very long time, and you can just smell it right away, right? You can just smell it right away. And the difference between the Chinchin and the Jinshren is so dramatic. It's such a dramatic difference. It's so dramatic. The aftertaste of this is beautiful, but the upfront starchy, not so good. Whereas this is just beautiful, smooth all the way through. And I also noticed when I was going through this that they did pick. They picked the tea leaves actually a little bit more gently as well. So you can see here, these are the tea leaves, and so they just picked the tops for this one as well. So they picked the tops much more gently, whereas this one has more of the leaves picked out of it. But anyways, there we go. So if you go on the site and you search for the collection Fall Pear Mountain and more, you'll see all of there's 7 teas there, and you can get all of them off. It'll probably be until Friday, probably until Friday, because I'm going to put it on Reddit as well. So it'll be till Friday, but you can get 10% off. Alishan Gaba, the spring Alishan Gaba is finally in stock. It's beautiful. The Alishan Red Oolong, we talked about that before. It's amazingly complex, and it's a funny one, right? Because it resolves. There's a sweet tartness and then a sweetness. It's like, anyways, if you know that garden, you know what I'm talking about. That's the organic Alishan Red Oolong. Fall Pear Mountain this year, classic and good. I tried the 3 different days. In the 3 different days, only one of them was classic and good. The other ones were okay, but usually, or sometimes I do like a sweet and a rich. This year, there's only really one day that was good, so I bought that day. I mean, the other ones were good, but it wasn't like wowing me. There's one day, subtle, sweet, like classic Fall Pear Mountain, gorgeous tea. If you like that tea, anyways, I'm still drinking the red oolongs. As the weather cools down a little bit, I'm going to jump into that one. The wild cultivar East, the greenish oolong, that one, if you know it and like it, you're awesome. For me, it's not my favorite tea, but it's so important to try if you want to understand tea. It's wild tea. So the cultivar is a wild tea. If you've never had it, you should really try it. Some people love it. They just love that tea. And some people are like, oh, that was interesting. Sweet Asamaka, I've talked about before, formerly known as the converter. Now it's sweet in the upfront and just strong and beautiful in the background. The Jasmine Green Oolong, creamy, jasmine-y blast with a really nice oolong in the background. But that one it's for the grandmas. So if you got a grandma that drinks the jasmine teas, or if you know somebody who drinks the jasmine teas, or maybe that's what got you into tea originally, was a perhaps not so good jasmine oolong or jasmine green tea, this is for you. It's so good. It's just really, really high quality and beautiful, beautiful tea. And then you got the red oolong, which is right here, which I've talked enough about to this point. Any questions about anything that we've covered so far? What I know so far about what's coming up, October the 5th to the 13th is the Nanto International Tea Expo, and I cannot wait to go. That's going to be my real, like that's my workcation, I don't know if that's a word, but I just made it up. But I love it. I get to go see a bunch of friends and drink amazing teas and get wowed. I open myself up. I'm like, yes, what is this? And I love it because I always find something that's really, really amazing every year. The red oolong sub box will have the Louis in it, right? Yes. Yes, it does. The sub box has the sweet Asamaka, the Alishan red, and the Louis red. Has those three. So it has those three, and it's a blind tasting. So in that box, there's those three teas, and you get to try them out with a blind taste if you want blind tasting to see if you can pick out the difference between them. The sweet Asamaka, that one's really easy, right? It's a Samaka, like you drink it and you're like, oh, that's kind of sweet, and okay, that's the Asamaka, right? The difference between the Alishan red and is this one is sort of sweet and smooth all the way through, and it's really easy to tell where the sort of the Oriental beauty, Eastern beauty type stuff comes in. Whereas the other one, the the Alishan red, has more of a sort of in the mid mouth. There's a bit of a tartness. There's a tartness thing that shows up, which is a little bit different. And um, whoa, is that a drone or something? I don't know. Can you guys see in there? Anyways, there's a very strange red light on the top of that building over there that's flying around. It must be a drone. I'm seeing it in the reflection of a window behind me here. Very strange. Bright red light. Maybe it's a UFO. We'll all get famous. You guys will be the first ones to see it, but it looks like it doesn't show up in there. Hey, good evening, good morning to you, and thank you as always. I hope your day went well. Remember, I'm in the future for most people watching this. Sell your Apple stocks, but that's the same. I guess that's an old joke at this point. But one day will be true. One day will be true. What was I talking about? So I got. Maybe it's a kite. Anyways, it's moving around very. Sorry. I got by this UFO over here. I was talking about the subscription box, right? So yes, the subscription box has got the three red oolongs and a blind taste, and the Alishan red oolong sort of has what's the best way to describe it? It's a complexity, right? And it's like a sweetness, then a tartness, then a sweetness again, and then a floral in the aftertaste. And as always, if you have tried that garden, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So the organic Alishan garden it's a complex. It's a complex one. I knew it. Short the shares. Yes. Well, Warren has been selling, for a while now. Warren has been selling for a while. Bank of America too. But apparently the tea industry is recession proof. So if anybody wants to, start up in the tea industry, get in touch and we'll see what we can do. It's a hard slog if you're not in Taiwan or in Asia, but we can try something out. No, you can't see it. And the two different things. Any future plans to stock teaware on the site? There is absolutely no excuse for me not to be doing the teaware. I do have some teaware that's sort of sitting and I haven't put in the inventory, but that's sort of the cheap teaware. But I have not for months. I have not visited my friend in Shofeng, so south of Taiwan or south of Hualien, and I should be getting that stuff. I ordered like 30, 40 cups, and I ordered a bunch of stuff. And so, you know, I just have to go down and really sit down with him and get those. Yes. And pester me, right? So pester me because, you know, like I work really hard and I get all these teas on the site and then I get the orders through and then everything's like, okay, we're good. We got orders. I'm busy for this week. But I should be, when I won't do the whole spiel, but when you guys buy tea from me, I am directly buying from the farmers. And so everybody involved is, you know, it's a positive feedback loop thing, right? These are good people doing clean tea. And it's the exact same with the pottery and the teaware I've had on the site in the past. It's a good person doing good things. And so I should have that positive feedback loop just going all the time. And sometimes I forget to keep pushing it out and keep making it bigger. So just pester me. The site told me everything. Told you everything, or yes. Well, it's the tea industry is a fun one, and it's a tough one. But you can't get into it overnight. That is for sure, right? You cannot get into it overnight. And anybody who wants to get into it, I'll tell you a bunch of horror stories and give you lots of hope. Packing shipping teaware sounds like it would be frustrating. I've got it down. It's okay. It's not too bad. It's when you're looking at tea and you're looking at high quality tea that sells for a high price, packing and shipping's pretty good. You know, like if you've gotten a shipment from me, you know, like I try really, really hard to not hurt the earth as much as I possibly can, right? And to make it efficient for the people who are drinking tea. And so, you know, like this is the 25 gram thing, and it sells for $7 or $8 or $9, whatever it is. I can't remember exactly what this is, but it's really, really small. And so I can ship it around the earth and help out my friends and help out, you know, the Taiwan economy and blah, 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 blah. But it's not like a big issue, right? So if you're buying that in North America, they're gonna put in a glass and then all the plastic, and you know, people ship it with styrofoam. I hate that. I hate it. So for the tea, it doesn't hurt me too much, and it's pretty easy. For the teaware, obviously it's harder, right? So I have to use bubble wrap, and it's a little bit bigger, and so things like that. But it's not as bad as a lot of people do it, so it's not too bad. But you're absolutely right. It's a little bit more of a hassle, and that's part of the catch, right? That's part of why I don't jump into that and keep doing it, is because it is a little bit more of a catch. But you know, knock on wood, out of all the teapots that I've sent and all the teaware that I've sent, after I got work the kinks out of how to do it, I haven't lost one of the handmade ones, in the sense of it breaking during shipping. Knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood. So I've got it down. But at this point, there's no excuse for me not going. I got to go get it. But maybe on Friday. No, Thursday. Maybe on Thursday. Or maybe Saturday. Anyways. Having children knocks back flexibility a lot as well. Especially when your children are quasi homeschooled and anyways. Any other questions about anything that we got covered so far on the site? Like I said, fall 24, Alishan Gaba, Alishan Red Oolong, Fall Pear, East Coast, Southeast Coast, Wild Cultivar, Greenish Oolong, Sweet Asamaka, Jasmine Green Oolong, and Louis Red are all on the site. and 10% off with the code FALL24. If you're on the newsletter, you already know that. There'll be 10% off probably till Friday. What I'm going to do is, I think this might be Gene Train. Anyways, I got to ask. Whatever it is, it's so well done. It's just such a beautiful classic right along. It's gorgeous. What I will do is I will work on that, getting some more teaware onto the site for sure. Things to look forward to are the tea show, and I got to go see some friends further south, things like that. And yeah, that's about it. So if anybody has any questions about any of the stuff that we covered so far, throw it in the chat or get in touch with me. Wherever in the world you happen to be, I certainly hope you have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening. I hope you sleep well, and I hope your day today / tomorrow is wonderful. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support, and we'll see you next live stream.